Interracial unions are sometimes characterized by mixed reactions from people who are for or against them. The few cases of Afro-Asian unions tend to draw a lot of interest due to the fact that they are not as common as other interracial unions. Such courtships are often carried out secretly, since the couple in most instances fear going public as the consequences are often dire. This illustrates Honorable Shakil Shabir, the Member of Parliament Kisumu East, and the love of his life, Nancy Wanyonyi's love story. They have been married for 7 years, and according to the couple, their love story has apparently been marked with intolerance, resentment, and suspicion. Established in 1893, Kisumu County is believed to be one of the oldest settlements in Kenya. Historical records indicate the diverse communities have dominated the county at different times long before Europeans arrived. People from Nandi, Kalenjin, Abagusi, Maasai, Luo, and Abaluya community converged at the tip of Lake Victoria and called the place Sumo, which literally means a place of barter trade. The Indian community came in too, and their immigration was facilitated by the construction of the Kenya-Uganda Railway, which was completed in 1901. After its completion, the indentured Indian laborers contracted to build the railway were given an option to stay or go back to India. The ones who stayed became businessmen in trade that assigned specific roles to different races in Kenya.
I was born in a household where we had very close interaction with the African. As far back as I said, 50s. We were born in Nyalenda, and my father was Asian. My mother was Asian, but we were very much, we were exposed to the African and the European very early on. And since we, at the time, the 60s, before. If I say to you that I played in Grace Onyango's hands, Grace Onyango, the former mayor, or Phoebe Osio, or we know Margaret Kunyata, or we knew Tom Boyer's, I played in Tom Boyer's house when we were kids. It's a different issue. And we stayed in Nyalenda, we just at the tips of Nyalenda. Our gates were never closed. And they used to say that we lived in the reserve. But we were never affected in any way. Nobody came and raped us or robbed us or anything. But one thing I can say to you, that despite all that, we've never really realized you lived, unless you live in an African household. If you live I live in an African household. I get up and I'm in an African household. Yes? You can be an Asian living in an African society, but not be an African household. When we went to Britain the other day, she was now living in Asian or European type of household. My household, right? She goes to Pakistan, she probably live in an Asian household. So they will understand the dynamics of, when you are here, you think you have your own thing about what a Asian does. You have your own, you've heard things, oh, these Asians, they do this, they sleep at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, and all those things. And they do this and they do that, and we would have heard something different. We were exposed, but what it is, having lived with a nation, perhaps you would now realize a nation does what people think that you were told. In Kisumu still there is, when you go to a particular wedding, you see only Asians, and Europeans are encouraged to come, but Africans are considered as, unless you are Raila and some of the senior people, they'll come and pamper you. But I think that sort of society is what we are trying to change. Yes, so that if I go with my wife to somebody's house, I expect her to be treated like my wife and like a child. of the house. And if I go to her village or somewhere else, I expect it to be treated in the same manner.
Honorable Shakil Shabir's grandfather was amongst the immigrants who came to Kenya in 1916 and moved to Kisumu in 1957. He had no Asian relatives, and all their neighbors came from the Luo tribe, the third largest community in Kenya, who reside in regions around Lake Victoria. His upbringing made him open his eyes to intermingle with other tribes, races, and classes. Shakir has now made Kisumu his permanent residence and takes us around his home, or Dala in the Luo dialect.
You know, past those trees, the big trees at the back, there's the Nandi Hills. But this is up to that swimming pool there. It's, I think, southern hemisphere there, and we are in northern hemisphere. It's like that. Here we are in a different hemisphere, there it's a different hemisphere. So the equator passes, if the equator is a line, depends on how big the line is, it passes there. If the equator is 1 mile wide, then the whole property is on the equator. This is our sitting room and dining room, and our guest rooms are here. There are 2 guest rooms, and our main room, main house is, this is all very old. This is our main house, and my study is over there. Main priority, what are all these places, water tanks is our main priority. Lots of birds and some very old plants. Some very old plants, very old trees. Some of them very old. This is our latest brood. We bring them about 500 at a time. Yes. So when they get a bit bigger, they will move, and then we bring some more in. These are our little babies. We're building and we're bringing many more cattle. Yeah, I have another program that we're working. We're going to bring about 50 cattle from my constituency and have them fertilized here and look after them. These are some old photographs of mine when I was the mayor, the city. I'm particularly fond of that one with the Mother Teresa. It's a very valuable photograph. And this is when we called Obama in 2006. We hosted Obama in Kisumu. I called him here to open the hospital when I was the chair of the hospital. So there's Obama with Michelle. And if you go to New Nyanza, you'll find the Michelle Obama wing. The rest, I think, is Shimon Raila. This is another very photograph in July 2000 when they were saying, no Mwindi, no election.
Honorable Shabir met his wife, Nancy Wanyonyi, in the line of duty. At first, the 2-term MP from Kisumu East desired someone whom he could trust to run his private business and constituency while on political tours. Meeting Noor did not only cater for his work needs, but also private life. However, Nancy decided to take time with the process, and as she reflects, she wanted to be sure that this then-mayor was not taking her for a ride.
You don't know whether he just wants something for a short time, or he wants, and that wasn't what I was prepared for. You know, all girls have this dream. You want to, go to school, get married, that sort of transition. And you expect it to go that way, not the other way around. Because to be honest, I'm conventional, girl, not, just normal, simple girl, not really, and born from a Christian family, for that matter. So it has to take that process.
She came to work for me before. After I had been the mayor, and she was looking after my office. Not as the mayor, my other office. And that's how we met. We did ask out, and we did move along slowly.
What he didn't tell you is he really had to chase me. Yeah.
I said slowly.
Yeah, that's why he said slowly. He's saying slowly, not chase for a long time. Yeah, I think we probably went out for about 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 years
Yes.
before we actually decided to get married. There was a proposal, but not that formal. Yeah, not that formal. I probably, if he had to do it formal, I would have probably freaked out, like he said. So he's had really to be careful, basically, because, like I said, I don't really like to be so, you know, I'm not outgoing that much, and if there's a crowd, I would definitely say, oh, okay, if he tried to propose there, and then I would have probably just left and pretended that wasn't me. He had gone out of the country, I think, yeah?
Yes.
He went out of the country and then came back and just said, okay, I think he came with a ring and said, I think we really just need to get married and be done with this. And that's it. I think I had just picked him up from the airport, actually. And
I said it's about time we got married.
It's about time we got married, really.
What do you think?
Yeah. And I said, all right, what the hell? Let's just do it.
This is Honorable Shabir's second marriage. Shakir Shabir was married 20 years ago to an Indian woman with whom they apparently adopted 2 children. It was an arranged Indian union that ended as a result of what the MP calls irreconcilable differences.
Where I got married, and my wife was from Pakistan, and it was what we might call arranged type of marriage. And we were married for 20 something, 28 years, 29.
You were not married, not me.
Yeah, about that time. And we sort of, it went along. It was quite okay, I suppose. I don't know. But our interests were different towards the end, very different. And those interests were not conducive to staying in Kenya and staying here. And my wife got a calling, and that calling was not in line with my thinking of life. And we did try to work it out, but it wasn't working. But some people have callings, and she has that calling, and she's very, very devout in her calling. Sometimes it scares the hell out of me, you know. And you know, especially I'm here, and if you're seeing somebody walking around, and in this particular circumstance, if she came here now, you would be not very comfortable. Yeah, I don't want to say she's, you know, these Al-Shabaab type of people. Yeah, well, those are extremists, you know, extremists. She has her own ways. She has her own ways, and we understand her, but others may not. Others may not. Yeah, we understand her, but the others may not. Yeah, and this is a person who's very, very intelligent, very well qualified, like the white lady or others. Yeah, and she's the one actually who just suggested that I get married. And in her calling, as a Muslim, I could get married, and she said, you're allowed to get married 4 times, and I give you my permission. Yeah, so that's when we got married. At that time we got married, I had her as my first wife. And she went together with her to Pakistan, spent a month there.
Yeah, she stayed with me here for about...
Stayed here.
Then I went to Pakistan, stayed with her for about a month.
To be converted or what? I don't know.
No, you were just...
To be checked out.
Checked out.
The Honorable's first wife apparently took responsibility to ensure that Shabir gets a perfect woman to take care of him. Nancy nostalgically reflects of her travel to Pakistan with the Honorable's first wife, which was a test to check whether she is the perfect match.
She had actually left the country at that time. She wasn't living in Kenya
She
for
had
about
left
15 years.
About 10 years plus. I was
earlier.
running between Kenya and there.
Like, yeah, so basically I went there, I think that's, and after the vetting, I think she decided good enough for him. I was given my beautiful wedding dress and I came back. You see, I think what also helped the most is probably because they had an understanding that, okay, we are not really going to, because he was living in Kenya, and I think it was 15 years,
Yes.
and she was living in Pakistan.
10 plus, yes.
Yeah, 10 plus years. So they were living, it was just a formality, but basically they were already apart.
And the kids were with her.
One
was with her.
and Mariam was in England at the time with her grandmother. So, because Omar was younger, and I think.
Even Mariam was with her. No, she was in a boarding school.
Oh, in a boarding school. Then after that, because she was 16 at that time. Yeah. So basically, I think it was what it was. Like I said, she's a very nice lady. He said it's a calling. That's a choice of life. Yeah? We may not think the same, but that doesn't make her different from the rest of us. She just has normal feelings like any other person. And she probably, I think she just has her way of doing things. And she likes to organize things. And personally, I feel like she was getting him settled down. That's what I think. Yeah, that's what I think. Because when we, the way the whole thing took place, she was here, she went back, I went there for a month, then I came back, and she was like, now you too, I think you should now settle down.
I think it's important to say that my children are main point, my main focus in life, and they were very important in the decision to get married, because they needed a mother figure, they needed a figure. They did not have that influence that was required. And I was very clear to her. I told her that's one of the reasons I'm getting married. Otherwise we can just, I don't think you would have said, come we stay, wouldn't have worked, right? No, but I was very clear that one of the reasons was that my daughter was here, and it was not possible for us just to date and my daughter's here. And my daughter took a lot of time to get used to you. Matter of fact, she didn't like you very much.
No, not at first.
Not at all. And it took time. I think that's it. And so that was why.
Of course. What was I going to do with cows, even if I was given cows? My mother lives in town. I got the money because it's given to me. Yeah. So I got the money and I got a tractor. So what next? Yeah. Though he keeps insisting he wants to go and do traditional bukusu thing. He's the one who insists. I'm like, okay, you want to go do it, go do it. You want.
But Muskari Combo was after me.
Because his colleagues who are from.
So Muskari Combo was going to go from my end, and Watangula was going to be from his end, and they don't like each other. So I thought it was going to cost me a lot of money, too many cows, and Muskari wanted to carry many more cows than we had budgeted.
Of course, they have to negotiate.
Yeah. And he wanted to do it in a big way. Muskari Kombo is a very good friend of mine. Actually, in Islam, it can go anything.
Anything. You can even give 5,000.
From 100 shillings of, no, 100 more, no, maybe a bit more. 1,000 shillings to anything you want. But the thing is, you've got to give it. And if she leaves you, she has to give it back. You know that?
Yeah. No, I don't. That part I don't know.
Yeah. You have to give it back. If she leaves you. If you leave her, then you have to give. Yeah. We haven't really had a proper wedding other than what we call an Islamic wedding. We've gone to the...
I've actually had two.
You've had two?
I've had two because the first one...
was just me and you.
And me and the witnesses.
Yeah.
And then when I think Omar said... no, we were not there when you guys were wedding, so you need to do another one. So we decided, okay, fine. One December we went to Mombasa, and now we had, with the kids and the family, close family. So we had a second one, and for me that's good enough. So, yeah. But he says, especially when he's watching your wedding shows and all, he says, you also need to do that.
Yeah, we were planning to take her to Mombasa and.
He says that. I'm like, okay.
No, she keeps saying it's too much, too expensive.
It's too much. much.
Yeah,
It's
I was
too
telling
much.
about Isaac Moro's wedding. It says, yes. We'll take you to the coast or something.
I just think it's too much. It's too much. Should I?
She's got all the dresses.
I've got all, yeah, they're there.
She's got the wedding dresses. But
I've got the dresses, they were bought for me, like I told you, but I can't seem to just get to that point where I want to like wear those clothes and just
no, but you,
stand in front of
but
people.
you're going
and
to
do
my
it.
niece's wedding in
Yeah,
England,
yeah.
so she's
People's,
going.
other people's wedding is fine. Just I don't want to.
She's
be,
going to wear her clothes there.
And then you're the center of the attention. Actually, I think probably I should wear, but no, that one I'll be taking away attention from the bride, so we can't do that.
In the year 2007, violence erupted in Kenya after it was alleged by the opposition that the elections were manipulated. Animosity arose against various ethnic groups in various parts of the country, and various marriages were tested as couples had to either stick to their ethnic affiliations or to each other. Shabir and Nancy's marriage underwent this trial as well, and consequently, the Honorable settled to officially make Nancy his wife.
This wasn't good, you know, you don't really like to see people dying. And that's definitely, considering that we were a mixed race couple, and these are fellow Kenyans from different ethnic communities fighting, you know, it also just brings a different perspective to what you perceive of a relationship, or how the relationship should be. Should you just decide, oh, okay, maybe this is not our thing? Of course, you'll get that feeling that, oh, so this thing maybe you should just stick to your own ethnic group, not even the race, but just your own ethnic group. But of course, when you look at other people and you decide, okay, it's not, because there are people who have married from other ethnic groups, and because I think there are some people who are Kia, there's a Kikuyu family, and he was married to a Luo, and you see, he didn't leave. And actually that is what encouraged me. He did not leave, you know. Most of them just said, okay, maybe the wife should stay and maybe I should go or something. But this particular couple just really encouraged me, and they said, okay, the man just did leave. He said, I'll just stay here because I cannot leave my family. And that is actually what encourages you. It's more than the color, and it's more than the race. So
during the post-election violence, that was definitely blood, and there was so much going on between the few who were left and the others, the affected communities, that we felt that it was something that we needed to consolidate, I suppose. I don't know.
Honorable Shabir and his Bukusu love had to deal with prejudice in their love journey. This intolerance surprises him because the people of Kisumu have been very accommodating, electing him mayor in 2000, then after his 4-year term expired, voting him in as an MP for Kisumu Town East in 2007 and Kisumu West in 2013.
It was a bit of a problem. No, not for me. But my family has never been very close in the Asian society anyway. Not my father, not my mother so much. So it did have its, and I think from both sides, perhaps people said from the other side, they said maybe he's doing it because it suits him, because he's the MP and he would like to show that he's an African-minded person. And from my side, I think people were thinking, here is a gold digger, or, you know, she could.
because I realized that even for Asians, like you said, for them to marry a Muzungu, it's such a big deal. That's a big deal because they feel a Muzungu is more superior. Yeah? But the African is an inferior race. So it's the same, it's more or less the same thing, that you feel that way, but there's someone else who actually feels that way also about you. So, but like I said, for me, I don't care, because I normally say I married one man, and look around. I don't think there is any Asian who lives here. We live in a more rural setup. Our neighbors are Africans. They've been living in this place.
Where? 30,
40 years.
50 years. Yes.
You see any, so they've lived in a more African, all of them have lived in a more African setup and not Mwindi or Muzungu setup until probably they went to Britain. Your brothers and sisters. So they are not, they would probably, the most interesting thing you'll probably hear them diss the Asian.
They diss the Asian.
And interestingly enough, when we are among like Asians or something, you know, family, we gossip in Swahili about the others. So that's how we do it. So,
But one of the major problems that we have here is biased, and especially after some of these cross-cultural wedding, like the Sunika one, caused a little bit of a concern, and felt that we were trying to encourage. And why not? I was encouraging it. I'm saying yes. If you want to marry cross-culturally, do that. There's nothing wrong for an Asian woman to marry an African man. I think nothing wrong if my daughter comes tomorrow and she wants to marry an African man.
most likely she would.
Probably will, but you see what I'm trying to say? Is yeah. So I think these are things that we need to work on.
The two lovebirds had to deal with the fact that they both came from different backgrounds. This fact drove Nancy, who was a devout Catholic, to voluntarily convert to Islam after 2 years of marriage and take the name Noor.
There's different perspective as to why people cover the head. I can give them Omar's version, which is true, by the way. So there are so many reasons as to why. Because I hear there's a version that a true Muslim told me that the only reason people wear hijab is because the wife of the Prophet, was outside walking, something like that. And the ugly one, is it?
I have no idea.
You are serious. Would you believe that I actually understand Islam more than him?
Yes.
And he's the born Muslim. Christian.
Catholic.
Convert, Catholic. But I understand his religion more than him. I don't know, you should study a bit more. Yeah.
Another trial that Nancy had to deal with was learning how to be a politician's wife, being that she did not have a political background. Honorable Shakir Shabir is a Kenyan politician belonging to the Orange Democratic Movement and was elected to represent the Kisumu Town East constituency in the National Assembly of Kenya since the Kenyan parliamentary election 2007.
Uliwacha mtoto yako ulipigia mimi kura mara mbili kwa MP, si ndio? Shauri unataka kazi. Kama mara ya tatu utapiga kura nitapiga shukrani. Lakini nimepata heshima kubwa sana kutoka kwa watu wa Kajulu. Kama naenda huko bunge, wengi naita mimi Jakajulu. Tunaenda pale ngine wanaitwa Jakolwa. Kwa hivyo hata kama rangi yangu ni tofauti, roho yangu ni unaweza.
We were going to either live together or die together, I think.
Yeah, that's more.
That was it. No, we had no problems whatsoever. We were going into the depth of these things. The only thing she did was the only time she left me was when I was put into prison. When I was arrested, she told me, look, I didn't tell you to go there, so you deal with yourself. So that's the only time and she was very worried, of course, that, it was very difficult times and I was the only one arrested.
Remember, I'm not born from a political family or anything. Like I said, I'm just a simple girl. And politics is new, was actually rather very new to me at the time. And for him, going outside there and demonstrating and everything is easy. And getting arrested seems to be, at that time was like normal convention. But for me, I'm like, really? Is it worth going? As a woman, you feel like, will I be able to go through this? Because you have this feeling that, is this what politics is? Like, if you go out, demonstrate, okay, he'll be arrested. And how many times can you really deal with that? And I was like, okay, if you get arrested, it's your business. And me, I'm so out of here. You better be careful. So the one thing that we've agreed on, make sure you don't get in trouble with the police or some sort of chaos in your political career, and we are good to go. That's okay with me. But if he gets arrested, of course, right now, I'm about too old to leave right now about that, because like he said, we are now stuck together. I can't really leave him in the cell, But of course, he'll get some punishment of some sort.
Tell me what you want, alafu tuone what we are doing.
That she really cared. I think it was a very dangerous time. You could have been shot at any time. It just needed one careless bullet could have ended life. And she always tells me, I'm too young to be a widow. So I think it's something that we keep in mind. But we are now married 8 years. We don't speak about 4 or 5 times a day. It's difficult. First thing in the morning I call her, last thing at evening we speak. These are not my biological children. And they're not her biological children either. They were both adopted. So that is why she was probably feeling different. Okay? If they were her children and they were leaving them behind. They are her children, right?
Yeah, they are. That's what I said.
She had a different...
She raised them from childhood, from birth, so
from baby, yes.
Her children. Yeah. You don't expect to turn up in a household, and it's not necessary. You're of course, her father is marrying you. You're another woman in the life of the father, and that's a daughter. So obviously there is that, but it was to be expected because I think it's more or less the same relationship with her mother.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. So it's like that. So I didn't feel as strange as such because considering there was the same relationship with her own mother. So I felt like maybe she just needs a little bit of time. And actually it didn't take long after, because of course it is strange because I'm a young woman and right immediately I get married. I think in 2008 you get 14-year-old, 15-year-old son. And I think maybe that's why I'm closer to the boy. I'm close to my daughter also. We are very close, by the way, right now. If you'd see us, you'd think we're actually sisters. It's just that the skin color now is different. But I think because we have the same personalities with probably Omar, that's why, and he's the baby of the house. So you'll realize he's always hanging around mommy all the time. Yeah, he'll probably, and like I said, also boys with mothers. That's the sort of relationship that is there. Girl with the father. Now the two, you'll rarely see the two, the boy and the father together. It's unlikely. Yeah, they can sit together and all, but he'll probably speak to me. Both of them, I think, would rather talk to me about something that is bothering them than they would. He's nice and all, but he's the strict one, I suppose. I'm more harsh. Like, I would tell you off, like, stop that right now. He would probably go off on them. So, okay, stay away for a bit, let him cool down, considering. And you tend to assume, because he's come from outside, a lot of politics, he's tired. So that's why maybe they're inclined to be more, closer to me. Like he said, they were trying to also bridge a gap. He said it clearly. They needed a mother. And if they can find that, and like I said, any woman can be a mother. You have the instincts that are there. Love is unique, that's one thing. Because when you're born, nobody teaches you how to hate. And of course, you don't want to be that, stepmother type of thing. And considering that she was older, I did not want to be I cannot be a really mother to her. I can be a friend, and I can be like her sister.
But they don't call you mother, do they?
Okay, except Omar.
What does he call you?
When I'm with other people, he'll say mama.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. Even Mariam, she'll say mama. She'll say, or he'll say mama. Yeah.
But I thought she called you auntie or something.
Yeah. Omar calls me auntie. Yeah, that's what he calls me. Yeah.
So close are the stepchildren to her that they have now become another bone of contention in the couple's union. Honorable Shakir and his Bukusu love were raised differently, and their values on how to raise children vary too.
Most of our argument, mostly I think it's either, mostly actually it's kids. Because he is from that era where, you know, your daughter should not have a boyfriend, your son, and it's what I say to the kids should be the law. See, right now you can't do that. They will, of course, they'll have a comeback for you. And I'm more, let's discuss it, let's agree about it. Because these are kids who are older. You're not going to tell someone like Omar, he's 22 right now, or you can't go out, you can't do this, you can't do that. Yeah, you have to protect your kids, but they have to go and experience life. You, like he says, Mariam should not go out and to a club or something. Like, seriously, she's in university. People in her university are going out. You just need to teach her how to be responsible, and that's good enough. Because you don't want a situation where she sneaks out. And that's the same thing I say. Because I was raised differently from my sister. Yeah. When I was, at our time, me and my elder sister, we were, you know where the gate is. The only time that gate is open is when your parents were coming in or going out. You had a landline, they would call to check if you're even in the house, you know, that sort of thing. And they would do probably shopping for the whole month. So the only time they would even send you, maybe kama kitu imeisha, is maybe Royco. The only time they would send you to the shop, you run like hell. You know, you're like so excited because that's the only time you get actually an opportunity to see outside, and it was so wonderful. But now, the current generation, you cannot raise them the same way. For us, it worked because us, we used to be cane. Right now, try and cane that. 1 minute, ametoroka. Next minute, this one. And then you, like my sister, I want to know who your boyfriend is. Yeah? Because you cannot teach them how to be responsible without, or pretending it's not happening, and that's his style. Like, you know it's happening, but you don't want to believe it's happening. But unfortunately, it's there. It's there, and we have to live with it. And that's probably where the point we disagree. Kids, that's it. He feels they should be, you know, under lock and key. I feel, yeah, you're very strict on them. That's the problem. I feel they are growing up. They need a bit of flexibility. And then caning a child that is not caning, you know, you can't keep, you know, threatening to be beating them all the time. They are grown-ups. And clearly, you know, for someone like a girl, when she gets married and she's being beaten, she will start thinking it's normal, because even my father used to beat me up at the age of 20. It's not right. So maybe that is something that at least he knows he can't touch her. Yeah? He cannot. He knows that. Yeah? But before you would think, okay, she's still at the age of caning. I mean, no.
The duo too has personality differences apart from their wide age gap. Nevertheless, they have learned how to handle this challenge by doing things that enable them to grow together.
One thing I can tell you, he's the funny one. So he has to keep entertaining me all the time. And we do go out for dinner like any other normal couple. And we do watch TV together. We do walk together. And like I said, we do work in the same office most of the time together when he's around. So there are lots of things. We garden together, though he's jinxed. When he plants something, it doesn't grow. But so we make him dig, as you can see.
I'm more outgoing and she is more conservative. Yeah. I like people. She doesn't like too many people.
No, that's not it. I just like alone time. Let me just put it like that. People say I'm not, okay, not that I'm not friendly, but I just like to keep to myself.
Parties are not your thing.
Yeah, parties are not my thing for some reason. It's total opposite. I should be the one partying and all, but he likes the party life. Not really that. I would rather read a book. I call him a hoarder.
She doesn't like me.
I like a big space with less things. He likes to have things.
No, I like to keep old things.
Old things. Even those ones you are not using, he will insist on keeping. Actually, that I don't even mind. You should see others. Really? Like, can you imagine? And it's not like we have no television. I mean, there's a new television, but we are not putting it. But then I said to him, okay, fine. There you have your television. I'm going to get a new flat screen. Told him to get a flat screen, because this is analog. Come on. Yeah, it's nice. It's a memento. It's good memories and all. I do understand that. But then at some point, it's analog. There.
No, I like old things. I like my old things.
I like old things. I like antiques, but
No,
I don't
I
like
like
to
things that
hoard.
we
There's
had
a
in the
difference.
family.
There's a difference. Even his own brothers say, you hoard. Because he was like, what are you keeping this for? Like I remember when mom passed away, because his mother passed away recently, and nobody else is really keen on taking anything, but you should have seen him. Oh, let me take this. Oh, let me take this. And Zamir was asking me, really, Baijan, what are you going to do with that? And like, okay. At that time, I just said, because your mom has passed away, let me just leave him alone. Yeah, but he really likes to keep things, be tables, chairs, things you really can't sometimes even use. He likes to do that. And I like to have, like you would probably prefer to have even 3 carpets here. I want 1 carpet. But finally, I think I win. Interracial is not really a challenge for me. I don't think, maybe for him, I don't know whether, it has not really been a challenge for me. His politics, maybe, yeah, politics, and sometimes they say if you can't beat them, you just join them. Yeah, because politics is a dirty game, and you have to protect what's yours. So that's how I think about it. Sometimes I have to learn how to, like, I told you I don't like to be around so many people, but now I'm beginning to learn how to be around a lot of people, to speak in front of people, smile. No, I cannot pretend to smile. That's the problem I have now.
Being a member of parliament has given Shabir a quest to continue campaigning for intermarriages. He participated in the passing of the marriage bill, which makes it legal for a man to marry as many wives as he wants. According to the Honorable, the bill is great as it fights discrimination.
No. If you're a state officer, you must remain a state officer. You cannot then go and hide behind limited companies. That had been the problem.
It was passed by men, and I was one of the few who objected. Although we are allowed polygamy, I think what the bill was saying is the rights of the other woman. Yeah, that I accept. If you have another woman, then you stayed with her, or you've had children with her, or whatever, or you must have certain responsibilities towards that woman, and that I accept. I think it's very much part and parcel of the culture that we have, of the society that we are in, and also of the religion that I'm in. You know, I mean, what you do not know is that if you have 4 wives, you have to treat them equally. You know, and literally. And so the reason I say that the lady MPs they're not serious. They could have made a very much better bill by being there, but they were not there. They were not there. So the marriage bill that has been passed is, we made the best of a very bad thing. If you had allowed some of our colleagues who spoke out very loudly to have their way, it would have not been a good bill. But the very fact that they did speak the way they did, there were some of us who were able to craft it. You see, when somebody says something, you can craft it the way you want. So that we could craft it in a way that suited us. And I think the bill is not a bad bill, frankly. It says polygamy is allowed. Yes? But in African society, polygamy is allowed. Now, if you go and say polygamy is not allowed, people are still going to, the African man is still going to be polygamous. Yeah? And he's going to have mistresses who he's going to mistreat.